This is a Film Stories original podcast.
Mother's Day is almost here, and you can get her the most beautiful time-tested gift around. A watch she can wear every day from Movement. Whether your mom is into classic dress watches, rare and refined ceramics, or tried-and-true bestsellers, Movement has something she'll love. And right now, everything at Movement is up to 50% off site-wide during their Mother's Day sale. A watch is a gift that celebrates all the time you spent with mom. And a Movement watch is even more than that. Movement uses industry-leading materials for their fresh modern watch designs, from technically complex ceramics to vintage-inspired style, all for an incredible value your wrist and wallet will both love. And with one-size-fits-all convenience and fast free shipping and returns, it's a stress-free shopping experience. Save big on the best Mother's Day gift ever with Movement. Get up to 50% off site-wide during their Mother's Day sale at mvmt.com. Again, that's up to 50% off at mvmt.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Carter, creator of The X-Files, and you're listening to The X-Cast.
Welcome back, everybody, to The X-Cast. The truth is in here. I'm your host, Tony Black, and we are continuing our journey into Season 10, exploring Founder's Mutation, and in this episode, we're having a look at Dana Scully and her journey through the second episode of the X-Files miniseries revival, and I'm joined again by Mr. Andrew Brooker.
Hello.
Welcome back again after discussing Mulder. You're officially on the Season 10 train.
I am. I'm chuffed, actually, that you've let me come on to talk about it, because I've been enjoying every second of this season. So
It's nice to have you on. Before we get talking about Scully, we're going to get to some listener feedback, and because we have had a bit over the last week, so big thanks to that, guys, for getting in touch and letting us know your thoughts. This one comes from Zara Burrows at Zebshock, who said that regarding My Struggle and Founder's Mutation, fabulous, and left me wanting more. Great reintroduction to the saga, raising new questions and theories, and seeing Mulder and Scully together again was incredible. I think that would sum it up really for everybody, wouldn't it?
yeah, I think I can agree with that.
Yeah, I do know Zara, and she's a mega fan, like just a proper fangirl, like we're proper fanboys. I think it works both ways. But yeah, so thank you for that, and keep the feedback coming, and we will read it out on the episodes. So let's talk about Scully's journey through Founder's Mutation. She, again, like Mulder, begins the episode back in the FBI, and she's back on the X-Files. And like you said in the previous episode, it doesn't feel like they've been away, does it? It feels like we're just picking it up from, I don't know, maybe the end of season 7.
Yeah, it really feels like we haven't had a 13-year break, does it? It feels like it's just been, the standard April to September while we wait for the new season. And everybody's kind of fallen into what they're doing. We've fallen into watching it week by week, and it's just been like old slippers style, isn't it? Just everybody's comfortable with what they're doing.
Yeah, if we forget the fact they've aged significantly since we saw them last. David Duchovny's got a little bit more sort of potentially jowly, even though, he's still in good shape for a man who's in his mid-50s.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind looking like that when I'm 55.
Yeah, he's in better shape than me now.
He's in better shape than I have.
He's got 20 years on me. And Gillian Anderson just looks, really poised and refined for a woman who's nearly 50. So it's, they've aged very, very well.
I don't know if you've noticed, because slightly kind of, you read a couple of forums are the worst place to spend any kind of time. So many people seem to think she's aged badly.
What?
Or she
Really?
doesn't look like her. And I wonder if I don't see it because I've spent the last 3 years watching her in Hannibal.
Maybe.
I'm just used to it. And I think she looks great. And I don't know. There just seems to be this kind of Tumblr-esque level of people going, oh, she looks crap.
I don't get that. Her hair is noticeably redder. And I think there is a thing, a few people have commented about her voice being obviously American. Gillian Anderson has mainly been doing British accents apart from Hannibal for years now, and I think she spends most of her time in England now. So I think she's her voice has changed slightly. It's just got a bit older. But no, I don't know. I think she looks terrific. She looks brilliant. She's not playing the character any differently. And I think what people are maybe struggling to get their heads around is that they are going to be a little bit different because they're older, they're middle-aged. When we first met Mulder and Scully, they were in their late 20s, early 30s. Yeah. So they're gonna sound and look different then. Blimey, they were suffering early 90s fashion, and hairstyles.
I've got the shoulder pads.
Yeah.
So many shoulder pads.
There's been some really funny things that Gillian Anderson has been putting on Twitter and Facebook lately of pictures of her in season 1 of Scully and just going, what on earth was I wearing?
Yeah.
So I think this is the thing. I think this is maybe what people are just forgetting and getting a bit silly about, really. So no, I'm with you. I think she looks great.
I don't think people understand that, they get old. They're not, Highlander style immortals.
Well, Scully might be.
Well, Scully might be.
We'll get onto that later. But no, I know what you mean. Speaking of Scully, as I say, she's back in the FBI with Mulder, and she's on the case investigating the experiments that are going on. And she obviously then, she gets to do the autopsy, and she's back in. It's nice to see her back in the autopsy bay properly, and it's all those little X-Files touchies that are always part of the show. Scully doing the autopsies and putting things together.
Mulder butting heads with the authority.
Yeah. And then one thing it is important to mention as well, and this isn't just specifically Scully, but the fact that we get a scene with them reporting into Skinner. And I think, and this was a really good moment, I think, that shows how Skinner has changed as well.
Yeah.
Where he's obviously got a mysteriously sort of hipster bearded FBI guy who's sitting there. Now, I did think to myself, you don't exude any menace, mate. There used to be days when you'd have Alan Dale sitting in the office looking really scary, or like the smoking man just looking ominous. You're just a dick with a beard.
Yeah.
Like, what's happened?
Some weird little pencil pusher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting, because, we've talked before about how everything's kind of been brought up to modern times. I think that, as much as we think he looks like a bit of a dick, pencil pushing is the way forward with intelligence agencies.
That is true, actually. That is true. I'm surprised they didn't get that guy back from Requiem who audits Mulder's, remember him? I reduced his vision a little bit. I like that one, Marcus. But what's great here is that Skinner just blatantly just blags off that FBI guy and then just says to him, right, unofficially, you've got a couple of days. Go and sort it out. And that's great, isn't it? That Skinner's just playing the system, isn't he?
It's just that moment where you do realise that everyone's back where they were towards the end of the season, where he's genuinely trying to help as much as he can and still keep his job.
Mm.
It's really nice to see Skinner doing stuff for them again. Like you mentioned it in the previous episodes about him and Mulder butting heads seemed a bit forced, which I do kind of agree with, and it's nice to see him back in this position instead.
Yeah.
Actually properly having their backs, which he did from about the midway point of the series, didn't he?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah.
So it was nice to see that, and it was nice to have that feeling back that, that they're in Skinner's office, but actually, they're in a friend's office.
Yeah. It just shows that element of how Skinner he's on their side, but he's still, as ever, which is why he still kept his job, he's still playing it safe. But yeah, he's not in it much, but the moments he is in it, he makes an impact. But then obviously we get a little bit of, we go back to Our Lady of the Sorrows Hospital, which obviously has been used quite a bit in this season so far, which obviously is where Scully works. This is where, interesting little trivia, the lady who plays the character of Sister Mary, who's the hospital administrator old woman, she's an actress called Christine Willis, who was in the show back in the original series. Can you remember who she played? This is obscure.
I thought when I was reading stuff up and going through casts, I knew she'd probably been in one before, because there was this culture of bringing back nobody actors, wasn't there? Or nobody seems really mean. They weren't nobody actors, but supporting actors. They always had a culture of bringing them back for more episodes. So almost certainly she was in one, but where she was from, I couldn't tell you.
Well, she played a character called Karen Kosseff, who appeared 3 times, and she was Scully's emotional counsellor in season 2 and 4.
The one with the Amish dude. Is it the Amish dude?
Are you thinking of Kaddish?
I don't know. I'm thinking of no. Oh no, Irresistible.
She's in Irresistible, yeah, and she's in the Kalashari, which you might be thinking of, which it was the Amish-looking sort of exorcist guys, which is a really cool episode. I'm looking forward to doing that one day. with the boy in the room with the old lady with the chicken and all that. Yeah. So she was in that one. She was in Irresistible, which is the first one we see her in when Scully's been deeply affected by Donny Faster. Again, another episode I can't wait to do. And she was also in Elegy, which is the late season 4 one, which isn't particularly memorable until the point that Scully sees a ghost, because she's dying of cancer at that point. And then she goes to see Karen Kossif and says, I think I saw a ghost. I might need to go home. It was just, she's a bit older now, obviously, this actress, but immediately I went, because I'm such a nerd for X-Files casting, I immediately remembered who she was.
I only ever remember the ones that end up in, doing big, I say doing big stuff, but not necessarily big stuff, but tend to turn up in films that I watch.
No, this is because you have a life, Andrew, and I don't.
I don't have that much of a life. And I did for a long time do nothing but watch things like X-Files day in, day out.
Here, obviously, we also meet a pregnant girl called Agnes, who ends up being important to the story, played by an actress that you noticed recently, didn't you, who's been in something else?
Casey Roll. She played Abigail Hobbs in Hannibal, didn't she, with Gillian Anderson?
Yeah, a really important role in Hannibal, which, if you've seen, very much owes a debt to the X-Files in many respects, and Millennium.
And if you haven't seen, you absolutely should be watching it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, sadly, it's finished for now. Let's hope it'll come back. But it's easily one of the best things that's been on TV since the X-Files finished. Definitely watch it, because it owes a massive debt to Chris Carter and what he's created. But yeah, so she was a really important character in Abigail Hobbs. She doesn't get a massive amount to do here, but she still makes a little bit of an impact as an important little character in the context of the story. But yeah, obviously, so Scully is going through the story, and it becomes very personal, as we've talked about with Mulder, discovering the potential connection to the Syndicate and the conspiracy and the alien-human hybrids. Scully now starts to wonder if her son William was a consequence of these experiments, which was something that was thought about back in the day. Obviously, wasn't it? When, in episodes like Essence and Existence, when William was being born and things, there was the whole, is it an experiment or is it some sort of godly divine intervention, or have they just had a kid? It was very uncertain.
It was always left open to interpretation for everybody, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, mainly because I don't think Chris Carter had any idea.
I genuinely don't think Chris Carter would know how to put them two together in a room to make them have a kid.
Yeah.
This is why this kid just suddenly appeared one day.
The closest we ever got to them bumping uglies was Mulder slipping out of a bed in one episode, a flashback. That was it. Which I always liked. I liked the fact it was never, let's get him,
Without a doubt, you can't have that. I know it's a silly line to have, but when you cross that line, it would have ruined the rest of the show.
It really would. They did it in a really nice way, actually.
Even when you get to the point where they've had a kid, to still have the mystery behind it, I think is important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that mystery is still there. Yeah. In that, if it was an experiment, it's not, in a way, it's not Mulder's kid almost. There's a lot to it, really. But obviously Scully's worried about this, especially given the whole reveal about alien DNA, which I suppose she's taking quite well, but then given everything she's been through, I don't think she'd really be that.
You'd have to let it roll off your back after everything from the last 20 years, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. But it becomes a very personal case for Scully, this, doesn't it? Not just the William connection, but also, everything that happened with Augustus Goldman's wife and the whole thing about children being taken and everything like that. So it's a normal case, but it does have that underlying element, especially when she thinks of William.
Yeah.
And then you've got the dream sequence, like Mulder had his at the end. Scully's comes roughly in the middle, where she's taking William to school. And it really stood out to me because, obviously, apart from the fact that James Wong films it, does it in a very sort of soft focus.
Where he films it through, it's smeared Vaseline across the camera.
Basically, yeah. He does it in a very soft focus, dreamy, happy way until it all turns dark. She plays it very, very laughy, jokey, happy, doesn't she? It's very different how you normally see Scully.
Yeah, she plays it like a mum.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah.
She plays it as if, this is her everyday life, and, that's what you do every day. You're not a stoic, miserable cow when you're dropping the kids off at work at school. You're not allowed to be.
But no, you're right, exactly. But then obviously, the dream changes, like Mulder's changed, and she finds that William's ill, and he then seems to be mutating into an alien life form and things like that. So her fear is him becoming something else, which is obviously her own fear now because of whatever's inside her. That's interesting. There's a couple of things. Did you notice? I don't know if you clocked this, because I noticed on a second watch. when Scully, the scene turns and she runs towards the ambulance, she's standing on an X painted on the ground.
I did see that. I saw it the first time, and the second time I watched it, I looked for it. I can't tell. I'm pretty sure, because in the States they literally write crossing on the floor X-ing.
Right, yeah.
I think that's what that is, but it's just obviously put there for people like you and me to spot.
Ah, okay.
The second time I watched it, I double-checked for it, and I had to rattle my brain about it to try and figure out what was going on. But yeah, that's my only explanation for it, is that that's actually the crossing across the road into the main building of the school.
Okay.
Or something. Because
it made me obviously think of the X that Mulder sprays on the road in the pilot, which I'm sure is the intention. Because this miniseries, apart from not just the Darren Morgan episode we'll talk about, but it's full of little references in jokes.
For sure. That was the first thing I thought of as well.
Yeah, so I think that's intentional, really, and also maybe underscoring the fact that Scully's a bit of an enigma herself now, a bit of a mystery. There's this thing going on with her, which is, what the fuck's happening? What the fuck does all that mean?
Yeah.
So it's I thought it was a really good moment, and it's the other thing I thought was interesting about these dreams is that they're not together. Mulder and Scully aren't together with William. I thought that was quite telling.
Yeah, for the pair of them, aren't they? They're both all single parents, almost, but in the same house.
Yeah,
it is weird, and again, it's probably done on purpose, so you can assume in whichever direction you want to assume, but it certainly looks like the same house.
Yeah.
You only get one shot of the house of Scully, don't you? And that's the one right at the end.
Well, this is it, yeah.
The door certainly looks the same.
Yeah. You'd imagine, wouldn't you? That it's the same house. It's just really interesting that they both see it as, single parents, which maybe is part of the fact that they're not together as a couple anymore. So maybe they would, if they'd had William, they feel they would be raising him alone. Or it could be just that they were doing different things at different times. You can read it into it different ways.
Yeah.
But
see, nothing's ever mentioned in each dream about the other party, though, is there? So you don't know. Maybe something's happened to one of them.
Well, yeah, exactly. Potentially.
That's your own interpretation, I think.
And that's really good, I think. I think it's just an interesting journey that Scully goes throughout the episode, in how she approaches all this and she speaks to the different people involved and how she deals with, again, like Mulder's sad that he can never be a father, Scully's guilty, almost, I think, that she could never be a mother. She feels that she shouldn't have left William and left him to adoption.
Yeah, I think the thing with Scully is, because as well as, not wanting to give him up for adoption, she's not supposed to be able to have kids, is she?
Well, yeah, that's that, yeah.
So she can't even do it again, if she wanted to.
No.
There's definitely that sense of not only she's given up her kid, but she's given up her only chance of being a mum.
Although, if you remember, Mulder found her ovum.
True.
So I don't know what happened with that then. I don't know whether what happened, whether she still got them or what, because he found them
on display in a house.
Yeah.
And frame on the wall.
Yeah, randomly. But he kept it from her for years, didn't he? Because he found them in Memento Mori in season 4, and then he didn't tell her till the end of season 7 before he gets abducted.
Yeah.
Then we find that out in Bear Manor, which is mid-season 8, and she's like, oh my God. But then that was it, because they're used, aren't they, to get her pregnant?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So the intimation is that, well, who knows? There's different interpretations. So yeah, she doesn't have any. Yeah, you're right. I've realised that as I've talked through it. It's been a while. So yeah, she can't have children again. So there's that whole element that he was her one child and she wasn't there to see him grow up, which would kill you a bit, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really quite sad. It's quite sad in general the way it ends. I mean, the ends with Mulder just staring at the photo, and it's just quite sad for them both, really.
It's a horrible ending as well, actually. For a standard, what should be a standard Monster of the Week episode, it leaves you way too it leaves your mood way too low at the end of it.
Mm.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's really good that we see, especially Mulder, it's good that we see his humanity a bit, but saying like, well, why are you trying to make me cry? It's not what the X-Files is about.
Yeah, I'm happy the show's back. Don't make me upset. But obviously we'll see how this affects Scully going forward with William. I doubt this is the last time we see William, or indeed the last time we met. We hear the connection to the conspiracy with her and the children and things like that. So we'll see. I suspect this might rear its head again in My Struggle too. But well, we'll have to wait and see. We'll be back for a final look next time about Founders Mutation. We'll be looking at the experiments of Augustus Goldman and his 2 children, and a little bit more about the plot itself. So, if you want to join us for that, please do. Please remember to keep sending us in what you think about this episode and about Mulder and Scully Meet the Were Monster, which will have aired by now. So let us know what you think, and keep in touch. Thanks again, Andrew, for joining me for this one.
Thank you for having me back.
Always a pleasure. And remember, everybody, until next time, trust no one.
Mother's Day is almost here, and you can get her the most beautiful time-tested gift around, a watch she can wear every day from Movement. Whether your mom is into classic dress watches, rare and refined ceramics, or tried-and-true bestsellers, Movement has something she'll love. And right now, everything at Movement is up to 50% off site-wide during their Mother's Day sale. A watch is a gift that celebrates all the time you spent with mom, and a Movement watch is even more than that. Movement uses industry-leading materials for their fresh modern watch designs, from technically complex ceramics to vintage-inspired style, all for an incredible value your wrist and wallet will both love. And with one-size-fits-all convenience and fast free shipping and returns, it's a stress-free shopping experience. Save big on the best Mother's Day gift ever with Movement. Get up to 50% off site-wide during their Mother's Day sale at mvmt.com. Again, that's up to 50% off at mvmt.com.